So this is a very good file from Christian. Everything is mostly properly mapped. There are some details. I mean, for the level, it's quite okay. So one of the things that I noticed many people had is the scale of the wood. Okay, so this is obviously supposed to be made from the same wood, which means that then the density of the wood, of the texture, should be the same on the drawer, on the furniture structure, and on the lids of this cabinets. Okay, so how do I make sure of that? Well, let's say this is a scale I like, which is obviously a bit smaller than this one. Okay, and then I go to my UV editor. Okay, I select my UV shells, and on transform down here on textile density, I'm gonna click on get, and then I have this 3.5381. Okay, I don't even have to copy it because it keeps that value. So I'm just going to, I already got it, so I'm just going to select this object, and I have an error. Well, so just for the sake of this, I'm just going to um, select the whole object, okay, and sorry, and I'm going to isolate it. So as I was saying, let's assume that this is the scale I want, okay, and this drawer obviously has a larger scale. So I'm just going to take this object. I'm going to go to the UV editor. I'm going to select my UV shells. On in transform on the bottom, there's the textile density. I'm going to take it, okay? So that's 3.5381. I'm going to get out of this just for the sake of it, because apparently going from one object to the other was crashing this file. Okay, and I'm going again to the UV editor. Okay, and I'm going to, okay, so what I see is that this one actually doesn't have a UV mapping. It just came out right. Let's assume this one has a UV mapping. Okay. Okay, there it is. It was just a problem. Okay, so then I want this to have the same scale. Okay, so I just set it to the value I took from the other one. And actually this was already on the same scale, so probably he knows what he's doing. Okay, uh, let's take this one and let's take the faces. Okay, and okay, I'm just gonna take the UV shells and I'm gonna set them again to 3.5381. Okay, and it's actually all on the same scale. So in this case it works. Okay, so it's probably in another part of the texture. But basically that's the way you make sure that everything has the same scale. Okay, so now let's just get out of this and let's fix some other details that I saw here. In all of these curved beans, the problem is that the texture is quite a stretch, okay? So if I imagine I'm folding this, then it's probably gonna be a really long rectangle, okay? And if I open this here, I'm just gonna go to the UV shell. Okay, what I see, it's something that looks more like a cube. So what this tells me is that I should probably scale this in this direction. Okay, and I might get something more like the texture, but now the scale is really quite off. So I just need to take this shell and scale it up. Okay. Sorry, from that one. That's the one I'm supposed to scale up. Yeah. Okay, now this is, it has the right proportions, okay, and it's not stretched like this one is a stretch, okay? So just keep in mind that even though you get a really nice unfold here, you still have to get the right proportions in it, okay? That's one thing to keep in mind. There is another issue here that is easy to solve. So I have an issue here on the wood, okay? So it's not, I mean, if I would analyze this object by itself, then it's very nice mapped, but it's on the wrong direction. And why is that? So let's open this on my UV editor. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I'm back to the file. So what is the issue here? Well, you have to decide whether this is supposed to be continue, okay? And that if the wood is in this direction here, then it cannot be perpendicular in this area, okay? Because obviously, I mean, that would mean you put like a wood paper. So what I would do is just go into my UV editor. Hopefully it's not gonna crash again. Yes. And I think this one is the shell that belongs to that area. Yes. And this is obviously wrong because if I see this shell here on the side, this is actually quite elongated. Okay. So if anything, this texture should be along next to this one. Okay. And at least have the same length. Okay. So I'm just going to take this shell and I'm going to put it right here and I'm going to rotate it. So I'm going to make it into a squarish, into a rectangle situation, okay? I'm going to just try to fit it here and in rotate. There's one that allows me to rotate in 90 degrees. So this should more or less be the right scale. So if I compare it with the one that is from behind, this is a little bit more or less the right size for it, the right width. Okay, so if I now see how this is looking like, then at least the orientation of the lines fit better with what I had before. Okay, so obviously this is never gonna fit because I would, in this curved wood, I would actually see here the cut wood and here I would see the continuous wood. Okay, but these are just details that you might not notice. Now the problem here is that I have a wood and I haven't figured out if this should continue. Okay, in reality you most probably have it built like he has here, but how could I make it continue? Well, I would probably then select both objects and have them both in my UV editor. So, God. So I think I have a bug or something. Basically, you have to select both objects, okay, and open your UV editor. So you're gonna have both there. Right now, this is again not working. So I have to fix it again and then rotate it. I'm just gonna make this there, transform, and then rotate. And I probably have to transform it again so that it more or less fits this. Yeah, okay, I can even leave it there. I mean, I don't really have to take it out. So now it fits this, okay? But then what do I do so that they are continuous? So basically I just have to find this shell, which is that one, okay? And I just make sure that this shell has the same scale as the other one, okay? So I'm just gonna put it a little bit here on top. Mm-hmm. So that actually does it. It is continuous. I'm just gonna save this in case it crash again. Okay. But does this matter? Not really, because you can always argue that this was built one separated to the other. Now I can see that the scale of this one is now different to that one. Okay. So I fix it basically by going to my UV editor. So I'm just gonna select the UV shell. That's actually a mistake. It should show me the stuff there. Again, I'm gonna get this scale in the tensile density, okay, and I'm just gonna take the rest. So select inverse, and I'm just gonna set the scale, okay. Now everything's gonna have the same scale, okay.